the unity of the country.
The founding fathers of Nigeria had dreams of building a flourishing nation with its diverse people living peacefully and devoid of any form of external or internal aggression that may threaten the peace and harmonious coexistence of its people. To make these a reality, the first generation leaders made it a top priority, the formation of a formidable military that could stand the test of time. And this could not have been possible without a crop of well-educated military officers who will command men and machines to neutralize threats to the entity called Nigeria. These gave rise to the establishment of the Nigerian Defense Academy in 1964. It was an auspicious occasion that opened a new vista in Nigeria's defense architecture, and that called for an outstanding speech by Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. The Academy was established with a vision to produce officers with broad-based training in both military and academic subjects, designed to serve as the foundation for the future progressive development of officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces. These also aligned with a mission to produce each officer cadet with the knowledge, skill and values necessary to meet the requirements of a military officer through military, academic and character development.
You now belong to the Nigerian nation and you will serve it selflessly and be prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice if the need arises.
The Nigerian Defense Academy has not only turned out thousands of world-class military officers, but also evolved to become a global reference point and a benchmark to many countries aspiring to maintain a military capable of defending its integrity since its establishment. Each of the commandants who led the institution made unique and remarkable contributions that brought the desired transformation which made the institution a success in all ramifications.
Having taken over from the late General Joseph Garba, the permanent site was on the drawing board. On the way to the airport, you see the new NDA site, fully developed. So the government did very well by providing the funding. The place has space, is sited in such a way that the cadets can do most of their training within the academy premises.
I went there in 1984. At the time I went, things were not as good as they ought to be. Cadets had started to slacken. Discipline was a little low. But my mission was to install discipline. I'm probably the happiest of all commandants because I'm probably the commandant that has officers, the trained officers, so many. Today, from major generals, brigadier generals to generals, I can say 90%, if not a little less, for all my products. An example is one very smart Navy officer here. Come, look, it was one of my products. Why shouldn't I be so proud and thank God for this? So, look at it. He was one of my children.
I was deputy commandant for 1 year in the Defense Academy before I became commandant. And during that year, I was able to do a little bit of personal studies. And I couldn't remember the professor's name, but he clearly told me, "Sir, this institution is supposed to be second to none. But I have this report to give you so that you can take corrections, take amendments, and procure those remaining equipments and so on and so forth for the laboratories, for the workshops, and so on and so forth." Today, if you go to inspect the laboratories and so on and so forth, you find out that from the language laboratory to the science and the engineering laboratories, I think we are second to none.
The journey of the institution from a humble beginning at the old site in Kawo, Kaduna, to the new, sitting on a 36 square kilometer expanse of land along the International Airport Road, Kaduna, was actualized by the sheer determination of a number of commandants who led the institution along the vision of the founding fathers of Nigeria.
I had the pleasure of moving NDA from the temporary site to the permanent site. That is one of my greatest achievements, I think. My aspiration is to see the NDA rise to the best status of all academies in the world. I want it to compete favorably with West Point, which is the American equivalent, or Sandhurst, which is the British equivalent.
When I took over as commandant of Nigerian Defense Academy, the Nigerian Defense Academy had just moved from the old site to the permanent site. Against all odds, I moved the Nigerian Defense Academy library from the old site to the permanent site. So, and I also noticed that most of the books in the library are old. So, that was another priority. I made effort and bought so many books. In fact, I spent 2 years of my stay in the academy always making effort to buy books. I bought books, a lot of books in all facets of the academic sector, and also established an e-library for the NDA. So that addressed the issue of library.
When the president endorsed and released money for our movement to the permanent site, many eyes were on the old site. Many institutions want to take it over. And the Chief of Defense Staff, General Gomudia, had to set up a committee. Luckily, I was made the president of the committee, with the commandant of National Defense College as a member, the commandant of Commandant Staff College as a member, people from officers from DHQ, Army Headquarters, Navy, Air Force, and Minister of Defense. And I thought about it, I said no. The old site will still remain part and parcel of NDA.
The 28th Commandant of the Nigeria Defense Academy Major General Adeni Oyebade is already making giant strides in expanding the frontiers of development in the institution.
The only way you can really assess the outcome of what you do here is by the quality of our officers and of our officers when they go on operations. And Liberia, Sierra Leone, Sudan, Angola, Democratic Republic of Congo, and of course, in country, we have demonstrated the capacity. And I dare say, without any misconception whatsoever, the Nigerian Armed Forces has remained one of the strongest institutions in the land that has kept the peace in this country. And of course, as NDA, we are proud that we are the factory that has produced these officers and now women of our four armed forces. The curriculum of the institution, that's Defense Academy, is constantly and regularly interrogated. We don't just train our young men and women, our cadets, in conventional warfare, because we have since realized and recognized over the last 20, 30 years plus that the battle of the future, which is now, is going to be more of intrastate conflicts, of which the military must be fully prepared. It has been challenging to transform from a solely conventional army fighting interstate wars to fighting intrastate conflicts like we have seen, the insurgency, the spate of crime which has gone haywire. And we have seen also that the Nigerian Defense Academy over time has incorporated internal security operations, training modules into the training of our cadets. We constantly interrogate how to bring in fresh ideas, learning, taking from the lessons of our operations in the field, and to bring to bear in our training, so that these cadets, once they leave here, they have a very good idea of the kind of conflicts they're likely to face, because it's possible when they leave here, they may not have the luxury of going for another course, depending on the exigency of duty. They may be launched immediately, as it happened during the Nigerian Civil War. Some of them left the academy and they went straight into war. So recognizing that, we have introduced several forms of ICT in our training. We do simulation exercises. We draw from lessons from the field. We also upgrade our equipment, with which we train our cadets. Okay, we also let them know that the fighting, the battlefield that we face today is not the battlefield of 40, 50, 60 years ago. And in that light, they are constantly being trained. And to that extent, the Nigerian Defense Academy has done a lot. And we also recognize the importance of law of armed conflicts, which we train our cadets to understand that, look, fighting is just one thing. There are rules and regulations. Even as I speak now, we have some of our cadets in Italy where they are participating in the international competition on law of armed conflict. We do that every year, and this is further to expose our cadets to interface with other academies and their cadets, and also to learn new things. And when they do come back, we interrogate what they have learned and try to extract those good things we think is necessary for our training. The Nigerian Defense Academy stands shoulder to shoulder with other military academies in the world.
The Commandant, Nigeria Defense Academy, also works with a capable lieutenant.
It is my duty to ensure that our training is geared towards achieving the right needs, both in academic and military training, to ensure that we bring out the best products for the three services. We have currently introduced the counter-terrorism, counter-insurgency operations training. At the same time, we have the laws of armed conflict. Specifically, we have tried, in as much as possible, to empower the instructors and the lecturers, giving them the proper training that is required for that training, and at the same time ensuring that the lecture now is interactive. No more a lecturer standing in front of cadets, and giving them precise later on, but let the cadets be involved in the lectures, coming out to present, and ensuring that at all times, they are involved in a way so that at least we're bringing out modernization into the training.
Professor Azubuike Soni Nwanko oversees academic activities in the academy.
What distinguishes NDA as a world-class university, certainly in Nigeria, is down to its people. Very often people look at fixtures, systems, and superstructures, but these things do not make a university. Human capital or intellectual capital does. So I think that the greatest asset of NDA should be its own people, a bunch of dedicated men and women who are professionals to the core, who are dedicatedly doing their job and expanding boundaries and frontiers of knowledge. So for me, this actually is the greatest asset of NDA. But in addition to that also, the academy over the past 35 years of having a degree awarding powers has also invested in some basic infrastructure that enables teaching, research, and improving the environment of learning. So all of these put together makes NDA to have the foundation to be a Category 1 university in the Global Committee of University System, certainly in Nigeria. The unique selling point, USP for NDA postgraduate school, some people will very easily tell you that it's nestled in its own space. It's the only postgraduate business school that has a campus of its own, almost like an autonomous entity, but it's not autonomous anywhere. And it's unique in Nigeria. And this is where, for example, we applaud previous commandants who have worked assiduously to bring the PG school to where it is now. And current commandant, Major General Daniel Yebade, who has committed just about everything to ensure that our PG school remains #1 in Nigeria. At this point in time, I do not think there's any other postgraduate school in Nigeria that equals NDA PG school.
For the 65th regular course as well as the Navy and Air Force cadets 66 regular course here to be introduced special guest of honor.
The cadets are exposed to various kinds of comprehensive military training, simulations cutting across the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. Academic and military training go hand in hand with discipline.
In molding cadets to be officers, we basically look at 3 key things closely related, which are critical to achieving the mandate of the college. First is leadership development, because cadets are meant to be leaders on commission. They are meant to command men into combat. So that leadership attribute is absolutely key, and will ensure that before commission they have acquired enough leadership skills to be able to lead troops into combat. Second is character development, again also tied to leadership, to ensure that cadets are trained on all facets of character development. Moral in terms of integrity, honor, professional in terms of being able to execute assigned tasks successfully, even social, being able to live honorably both in public and civil life, and also in terms of civic, being able to have emotional intelligence, empathy, interpersonal skills. Now these are the foundations of officers' cadre. Once the cadets are sufficiently trained in these key attributes, then their ability to function is not in doubt, and that is all. Now in terms of professional training, we grade them through several range of key areas, starting from the physical fitness, which we achieve through normal training, endurance, swimming, and other. and then subjecting them to various military subjects in order to develop their professional competence. Areas like tactics, map reading, communications, geopolitics, and all that. So when you join all these areas together, you find out that the cadets are better forged into ultimately being elite. First, we'll ensure that the cadets are in tune with all spectrum, basic knowledge, of course, of all spectrum of activities you need to be able to function both in conventional warfare and asymmetric warfare. Now, conventional warfare in the sense that despite the changes in the character and nature of warfare, with more issues of irregular threats, we still believe that cadets need to understand first those frameworks that you need to conduct conventional warfare. After that, and also based on our local situation at home, we are beginning to veer into areas of irregular warfare, counter-terrorism, hybrid operation, so that the knowledge cadets gain in these areas, they can better apply it on the ground, seeing the challenges we have in the Northeast. In other words, with this basic knowledge, the cadets are better able, with little or no further training, to be able to function in defense of the command. So we now have a modus on counterterrorism, which seeks to expose the cadets to the basic principles and tools you can apply in combats of this nature. Also, hybrid operations, in the sense that these days you find out that you have what you call a three-block warfare. Three-block warfare in the sense that you'll be expected to face high-intensity conventional conflict, stabilization operation, internal security, low-intensity conflict, in one single theater. Specifically, the Academy is also at an advanced stage of building a counterterrorism village. The idea of the counterterrorism village is for the students to have a hands-on approach on how things can unfold, so that in real life they will be able to lean back on these experiences they have gotten, be able to function adequately.
Cadet daily activities are guided by Cadet Brigade Commander.
They have their muster parade, that is the morning check-in. After that, they go for first period. From the first period, they go for their breakfast, from where they proceed to the academic branch or the military branch for their training. After that, of course, they have their lunch. Then they have a light rest, go for evening games. Then they have dinner. After dinner, they are not left on their own, they still go for prep. Then they have night check-in, and of course, bed check at night. However, in between, they have breaks that they can proceed, end of term breaks, weekends too. They can also go on Liberty Pass. So the routine is designed such that it keeps them busy and makes them responsible.
In view of the need to ensure optimal performances among the staff of the institution, whilst maintaining high quality in both academic and military training, the Commandant, Nigeria Defense Academy, Major General Adeni Oyebade, has demonstrated unflinching commitment to staff motivation.
Here, I'm the chief trainer, and my cadets must see me as somebody they want to emulate. They must see each of my officers they interact on a daily basis as people they want to be like, because those are the closest people they see of what they want to be. And if they don't have that inspiration, if they don't have that commitment, that excitement that I want to be like this person, then we are feeling our duty. I think every leader has a responsibility to recognize that you must learn to motivate the people that you lead. And what are those key things? Constant training. I make bold to say, under my leadership, since I took over, I was privileged to be appointed by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tiwa Boratai, to lead this institution. We have sent so many, uncountable number of military and civilian staff on high level of training at home and abroad. So over the last 1 year, we have renovated several dilapidated accommodation, upgraded it. We have also built quite a number.
As a result of the remarkable successes recorded so far, the cadets have remained in high spirits.
Recently, in Nigerian Defense Academy, our training facilities, infrastructure, and concept review have greatly improved the overall training standard in all ramifications. We are now well equipped to face any form of contemporary challenges, both locally and internationally.
Cadets feeding now is of standard and everybody's enjoying it. Then, secondly, he has introduced the IHL, which is the International Humanitarian Law, into our curriculum.
It is worthy of note that cadets that pass through the Nigerian Defense Academy has memorable moment.
Wow. There's a place they call Bomber Tunnel. It's a tunnel really that connects two cadets lines, and each time your seniors want to scare the hell out of you, they ask you to pass through the tunnel. It's so tight, and won't be telling you on the big side. You get stuck in there, my God, you hate yourself. But there are funny moments, but then it wasn't funny then. Yes. But once you leave, you go back, you just laugh about it, and here we are today, through God's grace.